Hi there, welcome to I'll Apply Tarot. I'm going to do a tarot card reading for Virgo energy. And we're going to get the story out, and then we're going to read it from a couple of different perspectives because everybody's kind of at different emotional maturity levels in their Virgo energy. We all tap into Virgo. If you've kind of grown and matured yourself in your own Virgo nature, kind of grown and healed and matured yourself from past pain and heartbreak, and your more immature egoic nature, you'd want to be in a relationship with other people who've kind of learned those same lessons. But not everybody has, regardless of if they're a Virgo sun sign or not. Being enlightened to the truth about how to treat other people the way you like to be treated. Being more just and fair. If it's a romantic relationship, being in a relationship because of love and not for some other reason. And so this might be something that maybe people who are a Virgo sun sign or have significant Virgo placements in their chart, might be something Virgo energy at large is kind of dealing with. But again, we all tap into Virgo, so it can benefit us all and give us some insight. Let's go see what's going on. We have the financial constraints, the seventh chakra, the man holding a heart, the strategy, and the reason is because of the contract card. Well, some people might not want to do love. The strategy card is kind of like the Ace of Cups or the Ace of Swords, and the contract card is kind of like the Justice card, which is Libra energy represented by the Scales of Justice, which I also view Libra as the King of Swords. So these two cards here can talk about what people's truth is. And some people are motivated and inspired by love, and the man holding the heart would be like the King of Cups. And the masculine cards can represent how people present themselves in the world and how they're taking action in the world. Some people, the truth is that emotionally, because the feminine cards can talk about how we think and feel, they're really not, their truth isn't love. The financial constraints card is Five of Pentacles, and that's Taurus energy. And in some people's philosophy of life, it's more about listening to their intuition about who to get in a relationship with, where they think they can wear a false mask, is what the shadowy kings can be. So again, regardless if they're male or female, I have an idea. I am going to operate more from my worldly egoic nature, living more from their mind than their heart. I'm going to go present myself as loving to people and present myself as maybe a more just, fair, loving person. But that's not really the truth of who they are. It's more for the status, the ego, the image, feel left out in the cold, want to feel better, want to be in a relationship, like being in a relationship, but it can be more, it makes practical, logical sense, but it's not really truth and love. And it could be image, status, money, and materialism. Other people in the world, they can feel left out in the cold. The Five of Pentacles can mean we had to detach from something at some point in time in our life. Job, friendship, relationship didn't work out. The high vibe people, though, listen to their intuition and truth and love to guide their decisions. And they really are motivated and inspired by truth and love. And they go out in the world and they are authentically who they are. So then as we go out in the world, we need to listen to our intuition, get to know people. The pentacles can be kind of investing time, energy, and effort into people. People are going to try to invest in us. We're going to move forward. We're going to invest in other people. And it's to be aware that in this world duality where we have free will choice, that means there has to be more shadowy people to pick from, and there has to be more high vibe people to pick from. So the high vibe people are listening to their intuition to not repeat some old patterns, tempted more by lust, greed, codependency, haven't learned to love themselves or something, And they're trying to make sure that they let love and having hope maintaining balance within themselves, having hope and faith and belief in themselves, is more the guiding factor for the decisions they make in their life. And the shadowy people, they probably really don't care. I don't care if you're bossy, controlling, immature. I just maybe want to be in a relationship. Would this be good for my ego and image? Would this make it look like I'm a more just and fair person? Would people view me as a more loving or stable person? They don't care if they get in a relationship maybe with a high vibe person or a shadowy person. They just maybe don't want to feel out in the cold and they just want to be in a relationship. So we need to be aware of that. Then we have the Healer of the Ages, and the reason that came out is because of the attachment card. Shadowy people can try, it's kind of like at the big picture, shadowy energy is represented by the devil, high vibe energy represented by God. I don't think you have to be a religious person, but we do seem to live in a world of duality where some people are quite shadowy, some people aren't authentically. That is the truth of who they are. High vibe people have kind of learned some of these lessons in their Virgo energy. And they've learned to accept the truth that we do live in a world of duality. Some people emotionally are wearing a false mask. The attachment card kind of reminds me of Leo energy, that we can operate more from our egoic nature, and that is kind of wearing a false mask. Or we have learned these lessons to hopefully feel more comfortable within ourselves, to be more in high vibe Leo, more authentically ourselves in the world, and not trying to deceive or manipulate anyone. And for some of the shadowy people that were already in a relationship with a more authentic, loving person, yeah, those people could have seen the truth, could have healed and grown and matured themselves, weren't willing to be in a relationship in a more shadowy Taurus type relationship where it is more about being in a relationship for these different reasons. And they wanted to be in a more authentic, just, fair, balanced relationship. So the shadowy people have already had some people who've moved on from them. Now they're trying to find someone else to present themselves as like this loving person. Like I'm try to hide that they're kind of the devil. Try to present themselves as God. Like, you should be in a relationship with me. You should be my friend. You should work here. You should date me. You should marry me. Your dreams will come into reality with me. But it's just an illusion. They're wearing a false mask. But, sometimes it doesn't matter. We could all have gotten out of some job, friendship, or relationship. We could get in a friendship or relationship or a job with some other people who are kind of shadowy, but they can be less shadowy than the people we'd been in a relationship with. And so it is a better environment. And because high vibe people are inspired, it's kind of like being watered, like if you were a plant. If I was somewhere where I was in some relationship dynamic before where I wasn't given very much emotionally, if I get in a relationship or friendship or work somewhere else with people who do give more, I can kind of bloom and grow in that environment, even if those people don't have good intentions. And that's what some people do, regardless of the environment they're in. They're trying to learn lessons, trying to heal, trying to grow and heal and mature themselves. We can kind of still have lessons to learn, so we could still deal with some people who are shadowy, but maybe not as shadowy, less immature, less bossy and controlling, less hurtful, less unkind, less manipulative, less abusive than some of the other people we were in a relationship with, right? And so the people who keep taking action in truth and love, it's part of this journey. And Virgo can talk about this long journey that we're on to learn all these lessons in life, right? And the high vibe people are inspired within themselves to keep healing and growing and maturing themselves, dealing with the truth, when they see that people are being deceptive, manipulative, because again, we can get in a friendship, relationship with anyone, and people can kind of wear their best, kind of be on their best behavior, right? But then if over time, as we're moving forward with them, and we kind of had this dream that it would be more just and fair and balanced, we could do that, but then maybe we're kind of healing and growing and maturing ourselves, getting more balance within ourselves, freeing ourselves from things that manipulated us. But some of the people that we had been moving forward with, the Five of Pentacles can talk about, and shadowy energy can be where people want to move forward with other people, like be in friendship or relationship with them, but they never change. They don't, even if they're in a more loving and supportive environment. They don't, Virgo energy talks about kind of dealing with some of those issues within ourselves that manipulate us. Again, our fears, our insecurities, our own lack mentality. But some people, that's not, you have to be willing to see the truth, and you have to be willing to deal with the truth, and that's Virgo energy. But they could harness a more worldly Virgo energy where I look to things of the world to be the answer. I don't look within myself. I don't listen to my intuition. I don't think I need to change. I need to go find maybe someone who's more just and fair and loving, or more stable and grounded. That's how I look to things in the world to work with, but I lack self-awareness, self-insight, and I might not want to see the truth, that I always look outside of myself for the answer. And I never really invest in getting more balance within myself, loving myself, healing, working through those things that manipulate me to free myself from some of those things that manipulate me. And so they just keep looking to things outside of them: drugs, alcohol, being in a relationship, making more money, having more status, having more social clout, power, influence, for all those things to be the answer. And that's their truth. And they could think, I'm not ever going to come out from behind my more worldly, egoic view of life. That's my truth. I'm sticking to it. I'm going to go try to find people who are more on the same page as me and think the same way I do. And if they find people who want to live their life and live their life like that too, they could think, oh my goodness, oh, I have met some people who are on the same page as me. Other people, the high vibe people, are looking for people who are more on the same page as them. And as we kind of learn and see the truth that, oh, your truth is kind of different than my truth, what kind of drives and motivates you, what you think is just and fair, if you're more about you, more about the world, more about indulging in things to make yourself feel better, or you are motivated to deal with the truth of some issues that manipulate you, trying to decide who's who. And I want to kind of sift between the wheat and the chaff, things that really are nutritious and healthy and of substance, and things that really don't have, kind of like it looks good, but it really, there's kind of no substance there. Again, no self-awareness, no self-insight, lacks maturity, wearing a false mask, operating from their more defensive or egoic nature or self-centered nature. So this could be saying that, everybody could be, it's kind of like we get in these mismatched relationships, and it's kind of like it almost fits the two puzzle pieces or the groups of people we're working with, but, not quite. And then it's kind of like God shakes up the puzzle board in order to try to get the more mismatched pieces separated so that they can get the justice they deserve. But people have to be willing to deal with the truth, and that's also what Leo energy talks about in the attachment card. We have to be willing to see the truth about some people in our life that, how they want to move forward, what they think is just and fair, what drives and motivates them is different, and to accept the truth of it and not keep investing in an illusion. And that's part of the opportunity is there to begin healing. But if we keep kind of indulging poor behavior in ourselves or others, not living our more authentic truth, the illusion just keeps continuing, and we could try to create the illusion that everything is wonderful, but we're wearing a false mask. So some people are separating from the people in their life that are more on the same page as them, because everybody has the free will to live their truth. It's like, get in relationships with people who are more on the same page as you. Don't try to present yourself as something that you're not. Because it's probably not going to work out well, right? So then we have the thinking woman, the door to romance, the community, the second chakra, the journey card, and the reason that came out is because of the thinking man. So this would be counterparts, kind of in our truth of what we think is just and fair. And again, we know all sorts of people at all different emotional maturity levels, all different ages of life. Is it just and fair for people to live their life in a certain way at a certain stage of life? Yeah, that's how they view life. Just like when we were 15, we acted like a 15-year-old. When we were 21 years old, we acted like a 21-year-old. It is how we view life. It is our truth at any given moment in our life, right? And we could be looking in the door to romance and the community card, which is kind of like a 3 of Cups and a 3 of Pentacles. Again, we kind of are looking for people to be in relationship with that we kind of think are more on the same page as us. The second chakra can be that, we want to work together with other people and go on this journey, kind of go on this adventure, hopefully with people that we're more on the same page with. The problem is sometimes some people, something didn't work out the way they wanted. But instead of kind of dealing with the truth of it, why didn't that work out? Where did I need to heal and grow and mature myself? What about the people I was in relationship with? Do I get in relationships with people who their dreams are different, their ideas of how to live life, It's just like, again, if you were to be like a 21-year-old, but now you're like a 35-year-old, you probably don't want to go live your life like a 21-year-old. And sometimes we can be the same age, but we have different drives and motivations and different emotional maturity levels. But someone can come along that wants to be in a friendship or relationship with you, but maybe you could be loving and encouraging and supportive to them, but then as time goes by, you could kind of see, I think our truth is different. What you think is just as fair is different. I might think you kind of wear a false mask. I could think that, shadowy energy. You might try to play the poor, pitiful me card. The 5 of Pentacles can be I was left out in the cold. The Queen of Swords can be that people have felt betrayed. But sometimes people try to use that, again, to try to emotionally manipulate other people to get them to be the next people to indulge them in a relationship. But they're people who do kind of think that they should maybe be indulged in a relationship or indulged in their poor behavior. And they're trying, sometimes shadowy people are looking for very loving, nurturing people because those people do put a lot of work and effort into making a relationship work. And they can have a hard time kind of wanting to see the truth that some people are kind of more shadowy or immature or manipulative because they kind of have this more hopeful, believing spirit and love and think everybody's motivated, inspired by that, aren't they? And eventually, again, with some people, it's like, no. Your truth is different than my truth. Your idea of the dream life is different than my idea of the dream life. We could feel like some people live more from their mind than their heart. And again, it can seem like more of a strategy where people are kind of using their intuition about people. Like, oh, I think that's a loving person. I think I'll present myself as a loving person, and then I'll get in a friendship or relationship with them. And then once they're kind of more invested in it and we're working together, then I think I can go back and be more shadowy again. And they wanted like this dream to come into reality, and they'll, at the end of the story with the anxiety card, they want me to love and believe in myself, and they have a hard time offering love to themselves, to listen to their own intuition, that if I was more motivated and inspired to be more just and fair and maybe work more cooperatively with people, and more inspired to look at life from a higher perspective, keep things in perspective, be more just and fair and balanced within myself, and do that work within myself, and instead of telling other people like, oh, well, I don't know what would happen if we weren't in this friendship or relationship, like I'd be, and the difference, kind of both the Queen of Swords and the King of Swords would hold one sword, and the anxiety card is like the Eight of Swords. So within both of them, it's the Seven of Swords, which can be in Aquarius energy again, which anybody can harness, but where, again, people are more, have a dream of being in a relationship, living more from their mind than their heart, kind of not wanting to listen to their intuition and kind of grow and heal and mature themselves and see the truth of some of the things that manipulate them, and learn to love themselves and be more inspired within themselves, to have more hope and faith and belief in themselves and in love. And instead they're like, well, no, I don't want to do that. I want to invest in you or these things. And I think that's the answer. And so it ends up being a more codependent relationship. And then the people they get in relationship with, they want those people to not like love and believe in themselves and stay in a more codependent relationship with them. And high vibe people want to be in relationships with people who have learned to love themselves. At whatever stage of life we're at, even when we were 18, 21, 25, at all those different age groups, we knew people all over the spectrum, right? From immaturity to more mature. And we're wherever we're at, and we're kind of looking for people who are, because the spectrum can be wide, right? I mean, just think in your life of all the people you knew who were 18, all the people you knew who were 21, all the people you knew who were 25. And I just use that as a reference because generally we can really relate to it and remember that it's a wide spectrum, and we're kind of looking for the people. And again, we can get in friendships and relationships with some people, and initially it can seem like, oh my gosh, we're completely on the same page. And then as time goes by, it's like, I can have love for them and I can wish them the best, but maybe I don't really like hanging out with them. Maybe I am more inspired to love and believe in myself, and maybe they lack a little more inspiration within themselves to love and believe in themselves. And again, we have already probably put in work and effort with people to be loving and encouraging and supportive, but if they are not inspired within themselves, and so they keep kind of, unwilling to invest in themselves, again, always looking to other people. It's like a person who's like a child who wants someone to be a parent in their life, and they're an adult. Won't you be my mother? Won't you be my father? It's like, well, it's one thing to be loving and encouraging to people, but if you're not willing to kind of deal with the truth and kind of put some things in perspective and work through some issues that have manipulated you in the past to free yourself from those things, or you keep indulging in your defensive nature, or letting the past manipulate you, or getting all up in your head, or trying to control or manipulate people, people are going to get tired of it. And eventually some people are going to move on. It's kind of the idea that, even with your own children, if you have children, you're trying to teach them to be more independent so they can learn to spread their own wings and fly. That's kind of why I came up with the title I Alone Fly Tarot. You need to learn how to do it on your own. Can other people fly with you? Can other people be loving and encouraging? Yes, but to say, I want to ride on your back, and I'm going to try to stress you out and use the love you have for me to try to maybe manipulate you, you know? And it's like, well, that's not just and fair. People who love you shouldn't be trying to manipulate and control you, or get you all up in your head, be defensive to you if you seem to want to be more independent and live your own life. Everybody is High Five Virgo is about becoming independent and respecting each other as individuals, their own unique talent, skills, interests, and dreams, and hobbies and activities and things that they enjoy. And a more shadowy energy could be, I want it to be more about me. Well, I guess they need to find someone who wants to play that kind of role in someone's life. And if some of those people find someone who wants to play that role in their life, those people could move forward in a relationship, because maybe both of them are stressed out about love. Maybe both of them are more codependent. And then that would be an opportunity maybe for them being in a relationship with someone who's like themselves. Might help them see the truth. I always sometimes think it's funny when I do tarot, and I think about people I've known where kind of the roles are reversed. And when I know how some people probably live their life and what some people in their life probably said to them, and then those people end up kind of getting in a relationship, maybe at a later stage in their life, with someone who kind of is like how they were when they were younger. And when they hear those same words coming out of their mouth that people used to say to them, it's like, does that do a ding, ding, ding moment? Like, oh my gosh. Like, now I know what it was like for someone to be in a relationship with me when I acted this way. And, some shadowy people right now are trying to present themselves as very high vibe. Shadowy people sometimes can be in a relationship with more loving people. They kind of watch and observe those people, how they act, how they respond, how they interact with people. And then it's like trying to claim it as their own. But they didn't really learn the lesson. They know shadowy energy, again, is like putting on a performance, putting on a show. But it's not really the truth of who they are. Do some people wear a really good mask? Yeah. And people can stay in friendships and relationships with them for a really long time. And, and they can even enjoy it. But over here, the Eight of Swords is like Gemini energy. And Gemini is about what is our ultimate truth and our free will. And it is about what we love. Do we like to live more from our mind than our heart? Do we like to try to be more calculated and manipulate and control people? Or do we just go with the flow and work with people cooperatively and have a little more hope and faith and belief, like more of a high vibe? Aquarius energy has kind of been significant with Libra energy in here also. Which can be just our idea of the dream life, the dream relationship, and what we think is just and fair. And we could realize that at a core foundational level, some people's truth is they don't really even want to connect in with their more emotional nature. Just like that's like healing and growing and maturing yourself. Our Virgo energy goes within to look at the things that make us not choose to treat other people the way we like to be treated. Why don't I do love? What are my fears? What are my insecurities? What are my past pain and heartbreak that I'm not more open to working through some of these issues so I can go live my more authentic life in truth and love with other people? But that does, in Virgo energy, mean that you have to invest time, energy, and effort to work through those things. You have to be inspired to even want to work through those things. You have to be inspired to even want to try to get more balanced within yourself. And some people don't. I like being out of balance, which can be I like being more codependent. I like being more about me. I like being trying to live more from my mind than my heart. I like to. I don't want to do love. I get hurt doing love. I don't want to do it. And for some people, that's their truth. And those people, if they find someone or in relationship right now with some people who are willing to move forward with them, maybe because some of those people are caught up in the illusion of them and haven't seen the truth, well, those people are going to go on that journey with those people. And then as those people maybe over time kind of start to see the truth that it does seem to be more about being in it for these other reasons, and as they start to try to move things forward, more aligned with truth and love and justice and fairness, the other people kind of seem to be defensive to that. They want to be in the job, friendship, or relationship, but eventually you kind of get down to, is it going to flow more easily? Is it going to be more authentic? Is it going to become less codependent? Do you become more independent? And that's probably when those people will have to decide if that's their truth and they want to keep staying in it, or is it not? High vibe people have already seen the truth about some people in their life. Now it's just to see as they move forward in their life if they are going to keep standing up for their truth, believe in their dreams, not be more manipulated by people in their life and the world, to stay focused on looking at life from the bigger picture, listening to love and intuition to guide them, not getting up in their head, working together with people in a more just and fair way. And there's no guarantees, but at least if you acted in truth and love and justice and fairness, you were in the highest energy you had to offer people. And if for some people they're not ready for that, then you can feel proud of yourself that you acted in truth and love, and you can go take those out in the world to work with other people. But it's kind of funny, and it was kind of weird as I was doing tarot, and, this was coming up over and over that, it can be really hard to understand how other people think when you don't think that way, just like people who are more defensive or like to live more from their mind than their heart are more self-centered, egotistical, has to be more about them, or it is that they could think every relationship is about power and control and manipulation and who's more in a power position or something in a relationship. Well, that is not how other people think in the world. Other people are looking, don't we work together with people cooperatively and treat them the way we like to be treated? And we all try to work together, and it isn't. Because love, high vibe energy, is supposed to be just and fair. And you treat other people the way you like to be treated. And other people can be disrespectful and rude, and they keep thinking people should keep indulging in that energy. And it can be where they're distrustful of love because they're afraid that, maybe just afraid people would manipulate them. So, but also this thing like where people, like they'd be mad what if I invested in being more truthful and authentic and loving and then it didn't work out? Like they'd be mad, like as if they gave something to someone that they wish they could take back or something. So they don't kind of come out from behind their ego. Like, I don't want to come out from behind my defensive nature to be more authentic and just and fair and loving with you until I'm sure you're going to stay. Well, there's no guarantees. You can get in a relationship with someone and then who knows, they might want to leave. Who knows, people can, whatever could happen in people's life. But some people are so, I do view the King of Swords as a person's self-protected defensive nature. It's kind of like, though, like people who would get a job. Well, I don't really want to put in work and effort because I don't really know if it's going to work out anyway, and you never know. And so then they're kind of a half-ass employee. And then they can be mad and upset. Again, the Queen of Swords can mean male or female. People emotionally kind of feel betrayed by other people who might put in more work and effort and things seem to move forward for them. But then they're mad that things don't move forward for them. It's like, well, were you willing to work together with people more cooperatively, be more loving and encouraging and supportive to people? Well, no, I was up in my head about doing that because I don't know if one day it won't work out or they'll backstab me or something. It's just like, how about you work together with them until something comes up? And then when something comes up, you can speak your truth and say, I don't think this is just and fair, and you deal with it then. Kind of like living in the moment, not impulsively and recklessly, in truth and love and justice and fairness. Work with the people who work together with you like that, as long as it's working out and it seems to be aligned with truth and love. But some people just really have a problem with that. And because I've done tarot on it, where it's just like they'd be mad that, I don't know, I can't understand it, but that's kind of what I got from it. That it's like they'd be mad that they kind of let down their defensiveness. It's one, if you're loving, you freely will give to other people. Doesn't mean you got to be ooey gooey with everyone, but the people that are in your life that you love, it's to work together with them. You freely give of yourself. It's not kind of more of a tit for tat type of relationship. You freely work together for the common good of the cause, and what you're trying to work on. But some people could be so afraid of other people leaving, it gets them so up in their head that they don't realize that very fear that they have, how differently do you react in a relationship when you have some more hope and faith and belief in yourself and in others? So that could be back here, kind of this lack mentality. I'm so afraid people will leave. Well, how about you work through that issue? Maybe some people did leave. Maybe some people didn't work with you cooperatively. Are they like the people you're working with now, or are they different? Well, then it's kind of seeing the difference between people. Instead of putting out a blanket statement, all people are bad, all people, again, quit making it so much about you, learn the lesson, and realize everybody's not the same. If some people feel like they are in some job friendships or relationships with people that are more on the same page as them, we can have people in our life that we choose to kind of distance ourselves from. We can still stay in the energy of love towards them. We can still be kind of a loving and encouraging person like we could with a whole bunch of people like in our neighborhood or any like church or organization that we belong to, right? Do I want to be in a more involved relationship or at the bar? Do I want to be in a more involved relationship with you? No, this is good. I think we have different truths and we kind of look at life differently. But high vibe people, want to treat other people the way they like to be treated. Treat them in a just and fair, respectful way. Don't want to be throwing logs and not trying to build our ego off of other people like I'm so much better than them. They're living their life. Hey, you do you. Probably been there myself at one point in time. That's not my truth anymore. But hey, everybody has free will to live your life whatever way you want. There's just some natural consequences depending on what you're doing. And if they're quite superficial or shallow, more about themselves, more stubborn, more prideful, if you have your own experience with them, the people you already know that are like that, you'd probably kind of keep your distance from. But it's kind of love that helps you stay more balanced, that you don't get all up in your head about everyone. Everybody has to go on this journey in life and learn these lessons. And it can be hard with some of the people that we do love. But again, if we've been loving and encouraging and supportive, and they keep not wanting to invest in the truth, see the truth, be more just and fair, temper their ego nature, grow up, well, then they're maybe going to have to go hang out with some people who are more on the same page as them and learn some lessons the hard way, just like the rest of us did in life. So let's go see what's coming up for the different people in the world. For the people who harness some high vibe Virgo energy, what's coming up for them they don't see coming? The Nine of Swords. Why? Because of the Two of Pentacles. So like I said, the anxiety card is like the Eight of Swords, and the 8 and the 9 and the 10 is Gemini energy, about what we love and what our truth is and what we want to manifest. And I might have mentioned, our Virgo nature goes within to see the truth, shedding light and love on things to deal with the truth. And when we add that to the situation, it's like adding truth and love to something that could have had us up in our head about, these different things that we kind of have a hard time wanting to maybe see the truth of, or I have this dream, they have that dream, this is their truth, this is my truth. Or I don't feel like people are being authentic or truthful or honest. I'm going to offer love to the situation, and I'm going to stay focused on my truth, listening to my intuition. And the Two of Pentacles could be going to maintain balance within myself. I'm not going to indulge poor behavior in myself or others. I don't want to stay more up in my head about it, which could be, maybe going with the flow, seeing how things work out. Again, I can offer people truth and love, be loving and encouraging and supportive to people, not going to indulge people or myself. It has to be maintain balance, be just and fair, take action, truth and love. And the Nine of Swords could be, and coming out with the one sword here, and I guess I'd kind of view the Angel of Love as the one cup. High vibe people want to learn these lessons and quit repeating certain patterns. Can we move forward? Can everybody see the truth of some things that need to be let go of? Some things that aren't conducive to moving forward in a new beginning? But everybody has to be willing to see the truth. And kind of seeing who's willing to see the truth, who's not, who's willing to temper their ego, who's not, who does kind of look at life from a higher perspective, who doesn't, who's more immature, who's more manipulative, more codependent. High vibe people want to close out a cycle and not repeat an old pattern. And if some people are defensive to that and kind of want to repeat an old pattern, I wish you peace and love, but I don't want to repeat an old pattern. So I'm going to move forward. I wish you peace and love. Can I be a loving and encouraging person in your life? Yes. Do I want to invest more time, energy, and effort into you than I do right now? Probably not. And then, we'll see what people will do. And sometimes some shadowy people can get quite angry because they kind of want people to indulge them. And they think you should. They kind of indulge themselves and think it should be more about them. And then they think other people should indulge them and make it more about them. So, let's see what's coming up for some people. You might be worried that some people in your life that are trying to get you to repeat an old pattern. You might feel like they're juggling the truth. Just keep standing in your truth. Treating people the way you like to be treated. Keep listening to your intuition. Inspire people to, keep investing in your truth. And the people who that is not their truth and they don't want to move forward in that way will become more defensive to you. And it's like, well, I thought we were moving forward this way. And they're like, nope, I don't want to do that. It's like, okay, well then your truth is different than my truth. How you want to move forward is different than how I want to move forward. And I'm willing to accept the truth of that. If your dream is different than my dream can't come into reality with you. If your truth is different than my truth, what drives and motivates you, the stage of life you're at, if I want to move forward in a more just, fair, balanced, loving relationship, maybe bring justice to the situation, maybe move it forward, and you want to keep staying like right here, I'll have to not take impulsive action, not try to manipulate or control anyone, be truthful, and make a decision from there. What's coming up for the people who harness a more worldly, shadowy energy? We have the Five of Pentacles. Why? Because of the Lover's card. Well, again, in some people's Gemini nature of self, they're more aligned with their more worldly viewpoint of life, which can just be, yeah, I like to be in a relationship. I like all the things about it. I'm kind of defensive to maybe bringing justice to the situation. Like going on this journey and working through some of my fears and insecurities to move forward in the relationship. Kind of taking it to the next level. Some people might feel like they could be afraid. I mean, sometimes people really think highly of the people they're in a relationship with, but I'm afraid that you do seem so just or fair or balanced or loving. They can be afraid that one day you'll leave. So again, they get all up in their head about their fears, and kind of in their lack mentality of maybe why would you stay in a relationship with me? It's like, if I like you and I love you, why do you think I wouldn't? Why don't you love and believe in yourself enough? What is it that you don't think that would make me want to be in a relationship with you? Is it things from your past? Is it past pain and heartbreak? Don't trust love? And some people aren't ready maybe to, if we were to add the truth, Virgo offers the one pentacle, we'd have the Six of Pentacles. But again, some people could just be happy at the stage of life they're at and don't want to move forward in life differently at this point in time. And again, if other people are ready to move forward differently, a way you could equate it is people could be dating or be good friends. And we'll go back to after you kind of get out of high school, and one person in their Virgo energy has this long-term plan, is kind of motivated and inspired by it, is part of their dream and what they want to manifest, maybe to move somewhere to go to college or start getting in maybe where they live, they can't get more jobs in a career field to start moving their career forward. And other people are like, I don't want to go to college. I don't want to move to a different town. I'm happy staying here. Well, hopefully we don't have people in our life that don't want us, and sometimes shadowy people don't. They don't want us to get more balance within ourselves, love and believe in ourselves, invest in ourselves, because they're afraid then that will want to move forward in a way that they never planned on moving forward in their life. They could have their comfort zone, and I always thought life was going to be like this, but you seem different. You seem more inspired to do these other things, and I just think you kind of have a different dream and motivation than I have. And I could be happy and always plan to live my life like this, but you seem to want to do it different. And in order for me to do it different, I'd have to kind of work through my fears or insecurities of, when we step forward in unknown territory, it is different. It's unknown. I haven't been there before. And that can be really scary for some people. The fives, with this card being like the Five of Pentacles, can be scary. That's outside my comfort zone. I would be leaving behind things that kind of make me feel more safe and secure, or my friendship group, or my family, or my hometown, or something, And that can really get people up in their head. And when you do move forward like that, you kind of have to let kind of have that more hopeful, believing spirit within yourself, and let love and intuition guide you as you move forward differently than you were before. And so there could be some people where it's like, I am ready to move forward differently. And the other people are like, oh, that's scary. I don't want to do things different. I want to keep doing this. And then they can be mad that, but the high vibe people, it's like, from a place of love, I accept the truth that this is what you want to do, and you want to repeat this pattern. But my intuition is kind of like, I've done this. I've kind of learned everything I needed to learn here. I don't think there's anything more for me to learn. So my intuition is calling me to move forward and do life a little different, because I feel this stays more dead and stagnant. And it's kind of like sometimes people want us to give up our dreams to make our life more about their dreams. And again, it should be encouraging each other to work cooperatively with each other for everyone, to reach the most of the goals that they want together, being loving and encouraging and supportive of each other. But sometimes it can get where people want to move forward in a way that can just really be outside of some people's comfort zone that they're not ready yet for. And they may never get ready for it. And the people who are more like to be more about themselves, and it's more about their dreams and being more about them, they might want to live their life that way forever. If they're more about the world and indulging in things of the world, or making their life and getting in friendships and relationships, and people getting in friendships and relationships with them more for these reasons of the world, or the status, or the ego, or the image, they want to be in a relationship with other people who want to be in relationships with them for those reasons. And the truth is, some people don't really want to do love. Could they be sad? Yeah. They had a loving person in their life, but they could be defensive to being more just and fair, or loving, or authentic in a relationship. And the loving people in their life are going to pick up their investment in them and close out a cycle with them that, your truth is different than my truth. How you want to live your life is different. Your goals, your dreams, what you think is just and fair. But shadowy energy can be where you could feel where someone's trying to restrict you, limit you, imprison you, oppress you. And some people think getting in a more involved relationship or love when they're not ready for it, they could feel that is trying to, because they're still have this idea of their dream life of maybe not getting in a commitment. It's like, okay, we're on different pages. I can accept the truth of that. You go live your life the way you want to live it, and I'm going to go invest in my truth and what I'm trying to manifest. And if that's not what you're trying to manifest, then I wish you peace and love. And I'm moving on. And for some people who were, again, sometimes it can be trying to use the love that they know people have for them to manipulate them. I don't think you'll leave because I know you love me. I know you wanted this to work. It's like I do. But I have a dream and we have to work cooperatively, and you don't seem to want to work cooperatively. And I see the truth of it. I accept the truth of it. And I'm going to be open to working with other people who are inspired to work with people more cooperatively. You know, everybody in a relationship, in their Gemini nature, has the free will to be willing to work through their own fears and insecurities or self-limiting beliefs to work more cooperatively with people. And some people chose not to. The opportunity was there. And some people chose to be defensive to being more inspired to work more cooperatively with people in truth and love. So other people moved on. And they went to go find people who they think are more on the same page as them. And then some of those people might end up being more in relationships with people who are more like them. Which I might not like as much, because those people also might have a lack mentality, might live more from their mind than their heart, are in the relationship more for the status and ego and the image. This looks just and fair. We look like shining stars in the world. But it's people who really don't want to do love. But then that can be shadowy energy where people are just kind of indulging in it. It looks good. It could look like love. But it's more from this more worldly foundation. The other people are wanting a more balanced relationship where, yes, we want some of these things of the world too, but we equally want truth and love and justice and fairness. And the other people are like, don't really know if I want to do that. Maybe a sprinkle of that, but more of this. And they're willing to sacrifice more of the justice or the fairness or the love or being more creative or inspired or living their more authentic life because they're more caught up in these things of the world that they want to make their life about. And they may live their life that way all their life. So there you go, Virgo. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.